Hey folks, JD here, and today we've got this. This is another Helifar. This is the H8. So, I've been on a trek to find as many Helifars as I possibly can to see exactly how far we can go with all of them and see how they all differ. Are they all the same? Are they all different? This one took my fancy as it's totally different to the two that we've previously looked at, and I just wonder exactly how good this is going to be. So let's just pop everything back in this box here just so we can get a nice little bit of order on this table. And this is what we have. So let's have a little look at the quadcopter first. Very nice box shape, looks a little bit like the Ishin windmill. Feels very light, comes in at just over 30 grams. All in all, I think that looks quite sweet. Now there are a couple of things to note about this. This is a pure indoor flyer. It has infrared, that's it. 10 to 15 meters at most you're going to get out of this. And also what you are going to notice is maybe the controls might be a little bit slow. But we'll have to wait for the flight in order to see exactly how that goes. Now we've got our 4 propellers here. They are surrounded by little propeller guards. Now these little propellers are not in a ducted formation. There is no sort of duct underneath here at all. So I don't know. If I was to hazard a guess, I would say that cornering might be a little bit unstable with this. The orange is nice. That's Helifar orange, and it really does stand out quite a bit. Things to note is that you do have your infrared sensor at the front here. Be careful not to snap that off or to bend it too far. Now you also get a battery with this. This little battery is a 3.7 volt 220 milliamp hour battery. Gives you up to about 10 minutes of flight on that small battery because there's nothing else that is power. It's not powering a camera. It hasn't got a barometer. It is very, very basic indeed. Now, I do quite like the fact that there are a couple of aeration holes here just so that the electronics can breathe. That's always a good move in my eyes. I think it's going to be okay. A couple of things to note though is that you have got these little motor cables. Some of them have popped outside of their clips, so be very careful just to make sure you put them back in properly. If you do pull those, you are going to have to replace the motor in themselves. And just by looking down the side of this, yeah, they're soldered directly to the printed circuit board, so there's no plug and socket affair for you to unplug and just plug back in. So you have got to be careful with those. So that's the quadcopter. One thing, it does say it has what is the word that it used? It says that it has, not collision avoidance, that was the other one. It used a particular phrase, and I wanted, actually it might be on the back of this box. I wanted to see, no it isn't. That's a shame. Not collision avoidance, it did say something else, so and I'm sure I'll put it down in the bottom of the video when I remember exactly what that is. But essentially what we've got here is we've got a nice looking little helicopter, little quadcopter. Hopefully it's going to fly quite well, but in order to see that we're going to have to take it out in the next couple of days. So there is the little Helifar. Then we come on to the transmitter. So the transmitter looks totally different to what we've seen with the other Helifar quadcopters. It is infrared. There's your infrared senders there, your blasters and your receivers. You've also got quite a varied sort of assembly on this. To begin with, you have to put on the analog sticks. There's no twist. It is just push in until they go in all the way. You've got 4 buttons around here which are trim. Your middle button is 360 flips, and you've got your on and off button there as well. Now there's no altitude hold with this, so you have got to have a little bit of skill in order just to keep it up. But I would say, as with the other Helifars, this might be a beginner helicopter. I just want to see how she flies first. Now at the back we've got 3 AAA batteries needed to power this. This transmitter does not allow USB charging of any sort, so you have got to ensure that everything is fully charged and the batteries are new or fully charged when they go into here, so that you get a nice little flight. So that feels quite nice in hand. Plastic is quite thick. You've got these 2 little cutouts at the back here for your hands just to sit in. It feels quite nice. In all fairness, I think that's going to be okay. As I say with a lot of these transmitters, as long as it does the job, I don't care what they look like or how they feel, just as long as it does exactly what it says on the tin. So that's that. Then we get accessories. So we have 4 propellers in the bag there, just for the quadcopter, and then we also get a little USB charging cable there as well, just for the battery. As it goes for this particular manual, It is bilingual manual. It does tell you how to calibrate the gyro, what each of the buttons does, as well as how to fly and what's included in the package. Worthwhile having a read. I've plugged it in, I've turned it on. Just to let you know, the infrared sensor has to be at the back in order for this to work. So unlike usual, where you have the battery has to be connected to the front of the quadcopter, sorry, to the back of the quadcopter, with this, it has to be connected to the front. So it looks a little bit strange, goes against a lot of, if you fly some of the larger quads, normally the battery connector is at the back. This is at the front, and you have to ensure that the infrared is at the back, infrared sensor is at the back. So this is purely an indoor quad. We're going to just take her around, just have a little flight with her, see what she's like. She's a lot like the other Helifars. Ooh, she's a lot like the other Helifars in so much that she just wants to go. She absolutely just wants to 100% just wants to go. There is no other way around that. She is just like the other Helifars, and that is that she just wants to go. If it wasn't for the fact, oh, for God's sake. Yeah, she's just like the other Helifars. She just wants to go. She really just wants to be able to fly and let loose, which is a bit awkward in a small living room such as mine, especially when it's Christmas time and everybody wants to get in here to get the table sorted and everything else. And I'm flying quadcopters, yay! So, yeah, honestly, it's just like any other Helifar. There is no difference other than it's infrared and it's indoor only. I mean, it flies remarkably well. It holds altitude for a non-altitude hold quadcopter pretty well as well. You have it's pretty quick. You know, it really just is a very cheap, very nice indoor quad. If you're beginner, if you've never flown before, and yet you don't want to spend out for anything other than maybe a nanocopter for indoors, then this is pretty good for that. It's a bit quick, mind, so you have got to ensure that if you are a beginner, you take it slow. These movements on the transmitter, as you just see there, you can't make very fast movements. You have to make very slow and precise movements in order to move her. Now there is one thing. Now that is okay, but you have to be, whereas normally you could at least crank up the throttle to about 50% and you would be sure that she'd take off and give you about maybe 4 or 5 foot of altitude. With this, you don't do that, so you just feather it. And that then, with you feathering, if I hadn't hit the sofa, you can actually get it to quite a nice little altitude and it'll stay there quite pleasantly, you know. There we go. And it'll move around quite nice. Ah, see, it's that battery thing at the back that always does me. I was so used to the battery being at the back, I'd automatically go and put it down on the floor like that, but I can't, I've got to turn it round. So that we have the battery connector at the front. But it's okay. It's nothing special. It really isn't anything special. But it's not meant to be, it's not trying to be. That's what I like about it. It is basic, it is bog standard. There isn't any mod cons with it. It doesn't even try to say, oh, it's got 10,000 different features. No, it's just a very basic indoor quadcopter. Infrared, that's it. Under 20 quid, job done, thank you very much. I'll use it in the house and then, and that's it. Just for practicing. If I can't get out or anything like that, it's great for a little helicopter, great for a little indoor quad like that. But it's, again, remarkably stable, very, very nice to fly. I thought that this particular sort of almost square frame would have given me a little bit of hassle when it turns, but it turns out to be okay. What I thought it was going to do is if it turned too quickly, I thought it was going to get quite unstable. Let's try and do a couple of indoor funnels. There was a little wobble there, so maybe if you go a bit quicker, perhaps you will get that definite indoor sort of wobble. But, I mean, it does all right. It does all right. It's not anything special. It is extremely basic, and there's the battery. But it is... Oh, there was a bit of a wobble as well. If you do go a bit too quick and turn, you do get that wobble, folks, so be careful there. Probably not best for a brand new beginner then. Just because you want to feel safe about your quadcopter when it moves. But we've seen, we've got that battery warning. I mean, we've seen quadcopters have given us this low battery warning, and they've lasted for another 5 or 10 minutes. So, you know, I'm not too concerned. We've got a nice little time for an indoor quad. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to drive it back over here on the floor, because why not? And I'm going to call that a day. There we go. Well, that's all right. That's okay. It is exactly what you know, what I thought it would be, and that is just a very, very basic quadcopter, you know. And that makes a horrible noise when you turn it off. But it's very basic. But, you know, for under 20 quid, you know, you really can't go wrong for that, I don't think. It's kept up with the other Helifars. I think it is a good little indoor quad, under 250 grams. It's got quite a bit going for it. It's extremely basic. That's the best thing. I mean, look at this. Transmitter, there's no shoulder buttons. There's no other buttons other than your standard trim buttons. You know, it is extremely basic. And honestly, it's something that if you have a lot of bad weather, like we've had for the past 3 weeks, I don't know where the hell that's come from, this is great as an indoor little quad if you can't get out and fly. These motors as well, these motors are warm. These motors are warm. Obviously there's no wind, there's no environmental factors passing over the quad, nothing to cool these motors down other than the two little gaps you've got either side. It's alright. It's okay. You know, it is exactly what it is. A basic indoor quad. Don't ask for anything too much, you don't get anything too much. And that's it. Alright then folks, thanks ever so much for watching and listening. I've been JD, you've been fantastic as always. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Hello and welcome to all the new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying the channel. So until next time my friends, happy flying.